Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another show of Harmonics. Today's guest, hold on for a second. Chris, you said you had a special guest, John. Where's the special guest?
Go. She's down there somewhere.
There's a chair between you and me. So.
I know, well, where is she?
Oh, no, man.
Could you call her out?
Lyn.
Here she is right now. Oh, yes.
Yay.
How are you, Lyn?
I am good.
Good, it's good to see you. I got Chris Knight here, and I got John Holm here, and I got Lyn Kilcourse, and we're going to do a little thing with No Control. We're going to talk about what they're doing, what they have been doing, how's their history been in the past, because, you know, everybody was affected by COVID, but now hopefully it's all over. So, first question is, Lyn, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good, it's good to see all of you, Chris.
I'm good.
I like your pants. Pretty
The reason
crazy.
I'm in the band. So.
There's a story.
Johnny, how are you, man? The Mr. Thunder, man. This guy, how are you?
Not bad, man.
Not bad,
at
huh?
all. Enjoying myself.
So we're gonna talk about some things today about what you guys have been doing in the last couple of years. I haven't seen you guys in a while live. You guys are outstanding. So I'm gonna start with Lyn. It's better to start with the lady first. Lyn, how's the band doing?
The band's doing good.
Mm-hmm.
The band's doing good. We reformatted. John became our new drummer here.
Mm-hmm.
He had been our fill-in drummer for a while, but became our new drummer a few months back. Yeah, we are functioning as a power trio, and it's going really well. Got lots of shows.
So yeah, you guys have been playing a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And you know what, you did the thing what Steve Sage always told you to do, get out of Antioch. And you guys are kind of moving around. And you have played in some really nice little areas and have dominated, from what I understand.
Well, you know what? We do the Steve Sage rule. We try, at least. And the rule is
Not allowed.
Sometimes you can, but it's don't play within 20 miles within 2 weeks of the same gig. So we try to spread it around so that different audiences get to see us. This is actually No Control's 19th year of
19
being,
years.
and we've been pretty intact with personnel through the whole 19. I mean, with minor changes.
There's only one person that's been the whole 19 years.
Yeah, actually, I'm the
You're the leader, right? I mean, or you're the...
I'm the leader because Steve Sage, in a class demonstration, somehow I got elected leader, and I was like, how'd I become leader? But yeah.
there has to be somebody. Obviously, you guys both, all of you, I should say, all three of you, as a trio, you guys, do you guys find your own gigs, or do you actually go after them? You know how the scene is today, it's kind of not as fruitful as it was, 10 years ago. It's,
Very true.
And the pay is, I want to say this to all owners.
The same.
All these people, a lot of money. A lot of money. But how do you guys go about, you guys rehearse and you guys pick songs. How do you go about that? Is it a team thing, or Chris?
We buckle down with rehearsals for songs that we're trying to pull off for the first time live. Like, we had one last week because somebody finally had to learn the words to Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Took me about an hour, as it turned out, to get 2/3 of it, and I thought, oh, okay. So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
yeah.
So I'm gonna ask John. I'm gonna go ask John some questions. John, you've been playing drums for how long?
Oh, God. Since I was 15.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were like a staple on the scene because you've played in other bands. I remember seeing you in different bands. How is it playing with No Control now? Because you guys are pretty steady on gigs.
Yeah, it's cool. It's nice to be in a 3-piece and just make it raw like that, and it's steady. You know, I like it. I enjoy it. It's, you know, I've always kind of wanted to be in a 3-piece.
Really?
Yeah.
They're
yeah,
simple.
It's it kind of forces you to do things live that will fill up sound. You know what I mean?
Of
Where
course.
you might rely on other musicians
players,
to do
right.
that. You know what I mean? It's like me and Chris are pretty good filling up sound as a rhythm section while she's plucking away over there doing a solo. You know, so I kind of enjoy that.
I really like how you guys mesh together. I've watched a lot of your videos that you bring out, but I've also snuck in shows and watch you and then vanish. It's easier for me to go in and come back out. I've done some, Lyn with her band, and Chris was in the band at that time. I think you might have played. We did shows for people that needed
Pine Street,
Pine
for
Street. Them are
Danielle,
good. And,
yeah.
and then, at Pine Street, and also, what's the other, the one in our place? Those are nice little clubs to play in. Chris, you just recently did a one-man show. You play your instrumentalist, and
I claim 7.
you claim 7.
I can't whistle.
Yeah, but you can play a little sax, right? And you play a little.
Saxophone is a clarinet with missing keys, yes. So I was a clarinet major in college.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a little Benny Goodman, huh?
No. I mean, I was good, but not Benny Goodman good.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, that's.
I learned bass before saxophone, which is weird and kind of. I wish I'd have learned saxophone earlier than I did, but I'll tell you this though, I got really good on guitar and drums, and actually claimed that I play guitar and drums once I started teaching it.
So you also teach like Lyn?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
COVID.
then does John, you teach drums at all?
No,
Not anymore.
I do not have what it takes to teach.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have
There's
to
a
be.
talent to that. And I do not
Yeah,
have it.
it really.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's the art of patience, depending on the age group.
You know, when I quit my career job in November, I started teaching more, and now I'm already up to 21 students.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And that's all week. Do you do that, or
Just 2 days.
2 days?
Yeah.
So that's really that's supplementing for you. It
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah,
right?
it
And
helps
it's,
a lot.
it doesn't get the tax man to get anything. This is what I say about the tax man. Oh, excuse me. So anyhow, so how do you? Who picks the material the most? Who actually engages in that?
I'm going to say I pick it more probably than anybody else. I kind of always have. It was one of those things that I don't know. I guess I did want to kind of dominate picking tunes.
If I can't sing it, I'll
He'll exit really quick.
hopefully I'll veto
yeah.
it.
But no, I tried to pick tunes over the years that were songs that we grew up with that we don't get to hear anymore. That's sort of the basis for No Control. We play tunes that we all loved that people aren't playing out there. So we play a lot of, eclectic stuff.
Right. It's that awesome sauce.
We were joking about this earlier.
I really like the version that you guys did. And I said I had to watch it over again because one of the bass player that played Sympathy for the Devil was one of my guests. And guess who was singing Sympathy for the Devil, which is one of my favorite songs to sing too. It was Chris. And Chris, you really, for one moment, for about 10 seconds, I said to myself, he's doing some Jagger moves.
He channels the
Wow.
Jagger,
I always do the Mick Jagger dip for that one.
Yeah.
I'm playing bass too. I can't.
No, you were
and I
playing
don't
bass.
dance.
Yeah.
It was, who was a gentleman?
So not a lot of Jagger moves.
The guy that was
but-
playing the bass on it, he was a guest of ours.
Jacques.
Jacques.
Oh, right.
I'm trying to get his dad on.
Right.
His dad is also a musician, but Jacques, that was really good. I was watching you prance around. I go, dude, this guy got the stage. Just don't fall off that step. But you were really good that night. I mean,
Thank you.
I really liked the whole thing.
Yeah.
And Jacques is a great bass player.
That's right. I know what you're saying. Okay, I remember
now
that.
you remember?
Now.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a really good video of you
the
guys.
rare one where I was just singing, not.
No, you're just
And I still didn't have very many
Exactly, that's what I said.
Jagger-esque dance moves because
Now, he
did.
does
Keyword
it really
dance moves.
good, and you know
I
the
don't have
version
them.
we do? I picked the version, I'm picky about it. There's a million versions of that tune. Get your yayas out. Best album by the Stones ever.
Take your word
One of
for
their
it.
tops.
It
One of their
was.
tops,
It was,
tops.
and that was just,
With Charlie on the front. God bless Charlie.
yeah.
You know, and that's okay. That turns into another thing. So I'm going to ask each of you. I'm going to start with the drummer first because usually the drummer's always in the back, right? You know, not unless you're
Buried.
Dave Clark. Not unless
Buried
you're
in
Dave
the
Clark,
back.
right? So you said when you were 15 years old.
Yeah.
How did you get into it? Who were your influences?
Influences was definitely Kiss when I was a kid. Long story short, I got a Sears drum set when I was in 5th grade, and then in 7th grade, a kid remembered me from that and said, "Hey, come over to my house, and I've got a drum set, an electric guitar, and an amp." And I was always kind of scared of this kid, so it took me forever to get over there. I went over there, and we started jamming right then and there. I just
Really?
sat behind. It was like a really old Slingerland kit. We're talking from the 20s. We're talking old. And we wrote our first song that day. And for years after that, that's all we did. Is I went over to his house after school, and we jammed for hours and hours and hours and hours.
That's how
And
it
we
is.
just had, shoebox cases full of tapes of original songs we'd written, jams we'd done.
Wow.
And come 21 years old, I go into the Pine Street for the first time, and I meet Mike Holsworth. And,
The tangled web we weave.
Yeah, such a
and,
small musical world.
Yeah, it's a small world, and the musical
through
world is
those
smaller.
years, I became eventually the drummer for Slack and Loader and Bush League and things of that nature. And so that's pretty much it. The guy that I was in 7th grade jam with, I ended up doing an original project with that he had later on called Big Red Beaver.
Sweet.
And it was grungy. It was awesome. Moving on. It was cover gigs obviously pay more than original gigs.
Oh, exactly.
At the time,
Right.
I needed the money, so I moved on, and Slack and Loader became a thing that ran for 15 years, and from that came Bush League and other things like that.
Was Mike in those with you too, or a couple of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great bass player.
Yeah,
Great
bass player.
great
Greg
friend.
Montgomery. He was one of our guitar players originally in Slack and Loader. He became the guitar player in Bush League, and we had Freddie Lavelle from Level 12 singing in Bush League, and that was a fun band. That was a
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, because there was a lot more places to play too.
Oh yeah, we were all over the place.
yeah, it
we
was-
were
it was-
Winnemucca, Nevada. We were Reno. We were all over the place.
Everywhere. That's great to do that. So and what is your setup?
My
now.
setup right now is a Tama Superstar. I've had it for about 7-8 years. Great kit. Don't really have any complaints about it at all. It's just a basic 5-piece kit and a few cymbals and double bass, and that's it.
Oh, you play a double bass, eh?
Yeah, well, I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a double bass player. I see double bass as like a roux in cooking. It's a thickening agent.
It's more flour.
It gives it some thickness, and that's what I like about it. I'm not
Like a
gonna be
souffle.
playing Slayer or anything like that. That's not going to happen. But for fills, trash can endings, and other things.
And it's fun playing with these two, right? Yeah, I could see it. I could see it, and I could feel it. I could see it when I seen you three come walking in to the studio. You light up, Chris. So, who was some of your you? What about you when you started playing? Who were some of your influences? And we're going to talk about you play bass now. So who was your bass influence? Bass players.
It's. I can't really peg that down because I was still playing catch up on all this rock and roll that I missed out on until about high school, because I was a clarinet player since 4th grade, touching a keyboard since I was 4. Clarinet taught me how to read. and my dad is a trumpet player, and he listened to Doc Severinsen and Maynard Ferguson and some other trumpet players. The only rock and roll in the house was Boston's first album, which is why I call them my favorite band. First concert.
That's great.
And then one day I stumbled onto Steve Sage's class because
There it is.
we started a fraternity at Diablo Valley College for musicians, and somehow this one guitar player was a part of it. You know, it's for all the, you know, clarinet players and wind players and, you know, the dorks. And I sat in on a rehearsal, and then I found out about Steve Sage's class, and I was sitting in as the I think the keyboardist, yeah. Wound up being in their band for next semester. Not this band. I remember running into No Control and thinking I didn't really like No Control in part of Steve Sage's class because they were the most similar to what we were doing out of the 20-something bands per semester, and they always got to go last, and I was jealous. And then one day, so this is why I wore the pants, by the way, because they're the reason I'm in the band. One day, Steve Sage. This is a true story.
This is a true
Okay,
story.
Steve Sage.
I'm not gonna,
Go ahead.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to make up some fiction right now. So this is a real story. I don't know why your bass player wasn't there. It doesn't matter.
I
But
think it was a Relay for Life we were doing.
is that what it was? I thought it was.
think so.
Why do I think it was at Mickey's house?
No, it was like a Relay for
Maybe.
Life, and our bass player wasn't there. And I said, Steve, what am I going to do? I have no bass player.
Leopard Pant
And
Boy.
he said, go get Leopard Pant Boy. And that's how it began.
But anyway, sorry. We digress. Your question was about influences.
Well, you actually just told the story. I mean,
I did tell a
you know,
story.
and you got
that's-
your leopard pants, which I thought was pretty cool.
Well, I got the leopard
Yeah.
pants when I was a senior in high school for an 80s rocker Halloween costume.
So these are the same pants?
The same pants, yeah.
Damn, man,
Yeah.
you didn't blow up at
And
all.
now, yeah, I
You
was
know?
17. I'm 17 twice, technically, right now. I'm 34.
So let me
Which
ask
is
you this.
29 for the
that's
sixth time,
interesting.
by the
That's
way.
an interesting way to look at it. So how long have you been with No Control? And you guys were also, what was the other name they had? I thought that was because of Eddie Money.
Oh, it was. It was,
yeah.
actually. It was, oh
They,
my gosh, I'm forgetting
we were
it.
Controlled Chaos. We had
No,
the Uncontrolled
Controlled
as
Chaos.
well.
Yeah.
Controlled
As
Chaos.
a side project. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I,
I wanna
are we allowed to talk about
I want to say it's,
the brief name change thing?
I think it's like 15 years you've been
Oh,
in the band.
no, 12. Over 10,
No.
not quite 15.
Not,
I found that kind of interesting because they were in No Control for a long time, and then the money people, you know, or whoever. Why would you do that? I've known that.
Because No
over 40
Control
years, so it's
is
kind
an
of
Eddie Money
interesting.
song. And
Yeah.
well, they were going to do a super group, and they felt like it would be confusing for people in the area to see a super group called No Control, the name that they had. And but they never put the group together, so
Well,
we changed
I
our
mean,
name. And I
COVID
waited
happened.
a couple years, and then I was like, I'm taking the name back. They're not
was it?
using it, and everybody knows us by this name.
The Stones
By
had an
then, he
album
was
out that was a problem for
sick.
them,
Eddie was.
and they paid the band's name. I can't remember the album at this time, but they changed the name. They said, "Hey, we'll pay you if you change your name." They
weren't
gave them
offered that.
$100,000. The Stones
wow.
gave the band.
Wow.
I'll find out later on. Find out. I don't have the awesome sauce that you guys all have right now.
Awesome sauce.
So, Lyn, how long have you been playing?
Where is this sauce?
How did you actually get started in just playing guitar?
But well, I had no interest in music. I loved music. My brother decided I should play, so he told my mom I should play, and I have to credit him. They bought me a guitar, and as soon as they put it in my hands, I was a nonstop practicer, and I just hours and hours and hours a day. It was ridiculous, And then I formed a band with my ex-husband, and early on, and then just lots and lots of bands. I used to go to lots of jam nights. I was a girl out playing when all the guys were playing, and there weren't many girls doing it.
Exactly.
So I'd
Thank
go.
God for the girls back
Oh my
then.
God, I'd go out, and honestly, a lot of jams, they wouldn't let me up. I would just sit there and I'd wait to jam, and it was very sexist. So, but I learned, you know, school hard knocks. I learned how to wait and play in the guy's world, and I kept, you know, picking away at it.
You're like a survivor, because what you do, I'm sure there's people that sit and watch No Control, and especially you. I mean, I'm not trying to say anything about the other guys, because guys are dominating in the music, but I think that you're an example to young people that you play great anyhow, but you're an influence. And I think sometimes girls that want to play guitar,
They need that. Yeah.
you have to have some kind of a person that is playing something that they could hear. Unlike he only had one album in his house called Boston, but you know,
The debut album.
the debut album, which is a great album.
Yeah.
But you're an influence on people, especially young girls, because it is an instrument that is hard to play. It isn't an easy thing.
Actually, you know what? Actually, older women too, when we play a show, it's not uncommon for women to come up of all ages, and they'll go, "Oh my God, it's so great to see a woman up there playing guitar." And I get that a lot. So, you know, I feel good. I feel like, you know, a motivating factor out there to future, you know, women guitarists and
And why
performers.
not, right?
Yeah.
Women are the strongest people on the planet, you know, and probably some of the most disrespected people on the planet. So you give people a confidence when you play. When you strap on that, you should always think to yourself that people see you as something special as a player,
Right.
because they don't see there's not too many women that play guitar that you see on our scene. There's very
No,
few.
you don't. And not many women guitar teachers either, I find out.
Really?
Very few. So it's, yeah.
So let's talk about, you guys do another thing that was kind of interesting during COVID, that you guys doing a thing called Rock the Dock. Whose concept was that?
That was actually, I'm going to give my daughter Shannon credit for that. It really was her thought. She had been the original vocalist in No Control. We had done unplugged shows in Steve's class out in Benicia years and years before that. And it was Mother's Day weekend 2020, and she said, and I live on a natural lake in Antioch. And so she goes, "Mom, we should go down to the dock and we should do a few songs, do them unplugged and post them and call it Rock the Dock." And so it was going to be a one-time thing. We posted it and brought her two kids, my grandkids out to sing on the chorus of the middle. You know, it's all gonna, everything's going to be just
tangled
fine.
web.
We were trying to send like positive messages to the world, you know.
Yeah.
And it took off. So it was supposed to be just that weekend. We ended up doing it again the next Sunday, and then for the next 2 years.
It rolled.
It rolled,
It
and
actually
then we ended up taking it live. It's now, we do our third performance this Sunday with it. We call it the Dock Rockers.
At the Maywa
It
Beer
is.
Room.
That was really good, because then I seen John, and I
Right.
seen him coming out of the bushes sometimes. You
Yeah.
know, come out of the back. There he is, right?
Right.
You're
There
up there
are-
playing your
there-
acoustic guitar or whatever, you know, your 12 string sometimes. And then you had Kelly was also doing,
Right.
which I thought was hilarious, because then you guys started dressing up. And,
Right.
and when I turned it on to one time, I was going like, Kelly got a mustache?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You know,
That's Doug.
yeah, you
That's
know, I
Doug.
said, no,
Every
take
wig
that
has a
off,
name.
right?
That one
But,
comes with a mustache.
It was really interesting how you guys do, and you guys play really songs that are, well, it's just a cool thing to see. And then you had the little boats, people coming on boats.
We elaborated. Actually,
that's
I'm
one of my
really
favorite
proud of
parts.
this
Our neighbors.
one.
Isn't that cool?
I give Kelly and Chris actually a lot of props for this one. We took Rock the Dock when it was too cold and wet outside.
Rock the fire block.
Rock the fire block.
She has an epic fireplace.
We did it inside my house in front of the fire block, right? We did Time by Pink Floyd.
Took all our stage lights.
Yeah, there were
Made the dining
stage
room
lights.
a
There
stage.
were pots and pans
Yeah,
to
Matt
make
Hall
the
playing
The intro.
percussion sounds. Yeah, it was
We
crazy.
took two different sized practice drum pads for the TikTok in the intro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we actually did a pretty
Kalimba.
good all
Yeah.
acoustic version.
And you know what? You
Of it.
I didn't see that one, but you guys are really good. You guys are innovative on certain things. I liked how when Chris would come, obviously John is stationary,
Right.
but sometimes he'd come from a different wing. You know, he'd come in and he'd have his little. Sometimes he'd have.
Because he's
his-
got all those
I've used a
instruments.
recorder.
Yeah.
This will be our third Rock the Dock show, and the first two I played 9 instruments technically.
When he did his solo show, I have to say, 'cause
And on solo I played 6.
he did, and there were times, I have videos of it,
5
I
of
haven't
them
posted
well.
them yet, where he had a guitar, a uke, the keys in front of him, and within the same song, he hit 3 instruments without breaking the beat.
Well,
That is.
I
really,
was very impressed. Yeah,
That is
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
yeah.
So how was that to do by yourself, Chris?
I've had a couple solo gigs before where I would just play a guitar, and then I figured, you know what? They let the Dock Rockers.
the Dock.
Yeah,
Rockers, I like
they let us do our first 2 shows, and it just so happens that the same 4 of us are also the One Pump Chumps, our One Hit Wonder tribute, where we all wear checkered stuff. So to keep it straight, No Control, Trio, Leopard, One Pump Chumps, Checkers,
4 of us with
same
Kelly.
4
With
who
Kelly.
is stuck at work,
Yeah.
Dock Rockers,
All
Chumps.
4 of us. Yeah.
So
It's
let's talk about
It's
that
tangled.
other band, your other band, One Punk Chumps, right?
Right.
So is that still in existence?
Yes.
Yes.
So you got a couple of configurations of
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
bands with almost the same members and sometimes some in and out. You
it
guys
kind
kinda
of
like, you know,
it kind of
Right.
it kind of
Yeah.
morphed into, because you'll see some early Rock the Dock stuff with our drummer right before John, Dan Molina. He moved out of state due to work, and we're like, well, we've been doing Chumps with John, so naturally we're like, John, you're in No Control now.
You also, I've seen also Tony Martinez play with you guys.
Yes.
Tony
Technically, that was the
Tony is
uncontrolled.
sort of a sub drummer, just like John was for No Control.
Oh,
and so now when John can't drum, Tony's he's a sub.
He's in both now.
Right.
So yeah, Tony, I got to get Tony and Larry and them on the show here.
Oh, Joe
too.
and Jack.
Right.
You know, I want to talk about another gentleman. I texted him today in the morning, early in the morning. Al Smith. How is Al doing? He's a great guitar player.
Al, Al's my old time friend from way back when. Steve, Steph,
Yeah.
Al, all those guys, Al's hanging in there. He's one of our calendar recipients this year.
I was gonna say,
for the
segue
bathroom
into
selfie
our
calendar.
projects.
And we have new calendars, bathroom selfie calendars. We have a bunch of calendars. And the link is posted. You can order them online. We bring them to shows. They will be benefiting this year Al Smith and Gare Bear. Both
Of
who-
Ozcat Radio,
Right.
Gary.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about Al. Yeah, because he actually sent something about, has anybody ever heard of Alvin Lee? And I'm going like,
Yeah, 10 years after.
Of course.
I got a weird Alvin Lee
missed
story.
it.
Right.
I never missed it. I'm going to have a photo exhibit of photos that I used to take of all rock stars that I had in front of me. I used to sneak in a camera. Before, now you could just use your camera this way. But it was always great to just be able to go past security, and how I had my 35 millimeter camera. I had it strapped. I wore gloves, but I held my gloves up so I had my lens and my body in there. And I just raised my gloves. They never touched my hands. They go, oh, you're cool, man. I walked in. I go, yeah, I am cool.
That's funny.
Great.
Take my the lens out. But it's interesting. He was talking about T.Y., and I know he's been sick a little bit. And I wish the best for you, Al. And I've never met him personally. I just met him on the internet. You know,
Yeah,
I call Facebook our yearbook.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool.
You know, the more people that buy calendars, I mean, we're doing good. This is our third year doing this.
Should we explain why bathroom selfies?
No, it's too long a story. But
It's the only place in the town.
She's the boss.
too long a story. But
And then it became its own
But
thing.
we really need everybody to buy calendars because it'll help Al and Gare, and
All the money.
All the
to their
money
medical-
short of
Some
production
expensive
and
bills.
mailing costs goes to Al and Gare. Scott Weiss, my tech dude, and me put it together. We do tons of work. This is a lot of work. Our friends send in pictures. They send us in selfies, and God bless them because they make the calendar.
This year,
But it's completely profitless, and it goes to help Al and Gare this year. Next year, there'll be 2 new recipients.
Is it a selling point if I mention that I'm in it wearing a saxophone, a cowboy hat, and a towel?
No.
Okay.
Is that true?
It is true. It's the sexy bathroom
hold on, you
selfie
wore
calendar.
a
This is
towel?
a sexy calendar.
Well,
no, it's
this
about
close to pulling off
sexy
the
bathroom
iconic
pictures.
Burt Reynolds pose, but with my little Daisy Rock heart-shaped base for little girls in front.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm an inspiration to the girls
So
too.
you're probably the one who dresses the most differently on the band.
I
know that John is pretty well
I don't know.
stud looking all the time back on drums.
I don't know. We're
Well,
divas. We fight for that spot.
I'm
You
now
I'm
the
just-
front
I'm the dummy
person.
in the
So
back, and I like it that way. I got a full drum set in front of me. I'm
You
good.
just carry the thunder. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
Right.
my
You
job.
know.
That's what I do.
I think.
right.
Well, see, I always remind everybody that my favorite quote from Steve Sage: "You go to see a band, not hear one."
Oh, that is a Steve Sageism. Yeah, it is.
When I say
Yep.
dad rock look, you know exactly what I'm talking about, people.
Yeah.
This ain't it, okay? So, for what it's worth.
No, we do. Since
that's probably
day
why
one,
we have stayed
have
with Rock the
busted
Dock
out a
and
lot of look for this band. Because Steve, when we
over-the-top
were in the
checkered
class
band of
early
chimps.
on, he would pull me and Shannon aside, and all the new bands that were getting ready to do a show. He'd go, "Now you guys go talk to those 2 girls." Yeah, and that he'd say
that's
that.
one reason I
So you had
hated No Control well before I was in it.
No, he wanted us to instruct them on how to dress. Yeah, he'd send the new bands to us to give them tips.
I think that gave me the chip on my shoulder. That
And I think
needed.
that's what
I
it's
saw
supposed
the
to be.
draw
You
I
don't
was
supposed to
getting.
look like the guy that's in the bar you've got to be completely different. I don't care what you wear because it makes you see the band.
Right.
And whatever they're dressed like, right, or whatever, you have to be a little bit different. It's just like when you called out my shoes this afternoon.
I was upset I didn't see them sooner. They're so awesome.
You know,
Right.
you have to be a little bit,
Show
just a
the
little
world.
bit of an edge.
Yeah.
And you guys all have it. I mean, you enjoy each other. Obviously, you guys enjoy playing with each other. You're doing a song called Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. We all know what Hoochie is. You know, I mean, that's the best thing about that song.
We haven't done it live yet.
Well, but I know that
They were going to be busting it out.
Yeah, I mean,
We were
you
going,
know,
and they're like, "Wait, we heard a wrong version with the ending."
I've seen Johnny Winter do it, and Johnny has been a guest of ours.
Oh, jeez.
And we only had 15 minutes with him, but we stayed with him for a half hour. It was absolutely amazing. It was one of the last times he ever did an interview. He died.
Wow.
He died 2 or 3 weeks in Switzerland after that.
Wow.
So we have that.
that's
He was a great guy. What I felt bad, and I know it's your show, but when we did meet Johnny, I went to shake his hand. He couldn't see. You know, and his manager, it was kind of, who are you guys just walked in, and we got that interview. But he was such a beautiful human being. But I felt that his manager was like doing the same thing that Colonel Parker was doing to Elvis, just whipping him. Let's get this mule and make some money.
Right.
And he was playing at Yoshi's, and he was fabulous. But I met Johnny when I was young in Fillmore backstage, and I told him that.
Wow.
And it was really amazing to see Johnny. But that's what this show is about. It's about commonality. You know, our music landscape is, I think I heard you guys say it earlier, we're a small community. And I'm glad. I don't care how good or great anybody is. It's if you're playing on stage, you're doing something for yourself, but you're also doing something because your friends are there.
Right.
You know, I really respect all of you guys, and you guys really get along pretty good. You know, it's like, and you laugh together and you cut up a little bit. But I like to thank Lyn and Chris and John for coming. Lyn and I go way back. She did one of her shows it was really 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
time just kind of like
I know.
moves on. And then, you know, we had 3 years really basically that nobody could do anything. But I want to thank you both, all of you, you two, I said both, John, also John, and Chris and Lyn. It's a pleasure to have you on. I'd like to have you come back again. And I want to talk to you after the show about something else that we're going to be doing in the future.
Awesome.
So
Thank you for having us.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks
So
very
what we
much.
normally do, we do peace and love.
Peace
So
and-
I'd like to thank No Control with our special guest,
There it is.
Lyn Kilcourse. Thank you, Chris, for bringing her. And
She drove.
God bless everybody. God bless everybody. Peace and love. Love you.
Peace.
Awesome sauce. You know
Awesome
what?
sauce.